Nynetjer, Pharaoh of the Old Kingdom in ancient Egypt. Historical context of the Second Dynasty. The Second Dynasty of Egypt, which Nynetjer was a part of, followed the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt by Nynetjer, the first pharaoh of the First Dynasty. This period, known as the Early Dynastic Period, was crucial for the consolidation of the pharaonic state. The Second Dynasty saw significant developments in the political, religious, and social structures of ancient Egypt. It was a time of both continuity and change, as the new rulers sought to establish their legitimacy and consolidate their power. Early life of Nynetjer. Little is known about Nynetjer's early life, including his exact birth date and lineage. However, it is generally accepted that he was born into a royal family, as was customary for Egyptian pharaohs. His name, Nynetjer, which means he who belongs to the god, suggests a divine endorsement of his rule. The names of his parents are not definitively recorded in historical texts, but it is speculated that he may have been a descendant of earlier pharaohs of the First Dynasty, which would have bolstered his claim to the throne. Ascension to the throne. Nynetjer ascended to the throne after the reign of his predecessor, which is believed to have been Hotep II, the founder of the Second Dynasty. The transition of power in ancient Egypt was often marked by elaborate rituals and ceremonies to ensure the smooth succession of the new pharaoh. Nynetjer's ascension would have been no different, involving rituals that demonstrated his divine right to rule and his connection to the gods. Reign of Nynetjer. Political landscape. Nynetjer's reign is believed to have lasted for approximately 40 years, a relatively long period for an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. During his reign, he likely faced numerous challenges, including maintaining the unity of the kingdom and managing the complex bureaucracy that governed it. The political landscape of Egypt during the Second Dynasty was characterized by the consolidation of central power and the establishment of administrative practices that would endure for centuries. The unity of Upper and Lower Egypt was a significant concern for Nynetjer, as regional differences and potential internal conflicts could threaten the stability of the kingdom. To address these challenges, he implemented a system of governance that divided the administration into two distinct regions, each governed by its own officials. This division aimed to improve the management of the kingdom's resources and streamline the collection of taxes and tribute. These officials, appointed by the pharaoh, were responsible for overseeing various aspects of governance, including agriculture, trade, construction, and religious affairs. The pharaoh's court included a complex hierarchy of officials, each with specific responsibilities, ensuring that the pharaoh remained informed about the affairs of the kingdom. Military campaigns and foreign relations. There is limited evidence of military campaigns during Nynetjer's reign, which suggests that his rule may have been relatively peaceful. However, this does not mean that Egypt was isolated. Trade relations with neighboring regions would have been essential for the economic stability of the kingdom. Egypt's interactions with neighboring regions, such as Nubia and the Near East, would have involved both diplomacy and the exchange of goods, such as gold, ivory, and precious stones. Nynetjer's administration likely engaged in defensive measures to protect Egypt's borders. The construction of fortifications along the frontiers and the maintenance of a standing army would have been essential for safeguarding the kingdom from external threats. Diplomatic relations with neighboring regions would have involved both formal treaties and informal alliances. Envoys from other kingdoms would have visited Nynetjer's court, bringing gifts and seeking to establish or strengthen ties. These interactions would have been opportunities for cultural exchange, as well as for securing trade agreements that benefited both parties. Administrative reforms. One of the notable aspects of Nynetjer's reign was the administrative reforms he implemented. These reforms were crucial for managing the resources of the kingdom and ensuring the efficient functioning of the state. Nynetjer is credited with dividing the administration of the country into two distinct regions, each governed by its own officials. This division likely aimed to improve the management of the kingdom's resources and streamline the collection of taxes and tribute. These officials would have been responsible for overseeing various aspects of governance, including tax collection, resource distribution, and public works. They would have employed a network of scribes and other administrators to assist in these tasks, ensuring that the pharaoh's policies were implemented effectively. The division of the administration into two regions under separate officials was a significant reform that likely had far-reaching implications for the governance of Egypt. This system allowed for more localized administration, with officials better able to respond to the specific needs and challenges of their respective regions. Religious beliefs and practices. Role of the pharaoh. In ancient Egyptian society, the pharaoh was not only a political leader but also a religious figure. Nynetjer, like other pharaohs, was considered a living god, the earthly embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship. His role as a divine ruler meant that he was responsible for maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic order and balance. This involved performing religious rituals, building temples, and making offerings to the gods. Nynetjer's role as a religious leader would have involved participating in numerous rituals and ceremonies designed to maintain Ma'at. These rituals would have taken place in temples dedicated to various gods and goddesses, with the pharaoh playing a central role in the offerings and prayers. The construction of temples during Nynetjer's reign would have been a significant undertaking, requiring skilled labor and considerable resources. These temples were not only places of worship but also centers of economic activity where offerings of food, goods, and other resources were collected and distributed. Temples and monuments. Although few monuments from Nynetjer's reign have survived to the present day, it is likely that he commissioned the construction of several temples and other religious structures. These buildings would have served as centers of worship and as symbols of his divine authority. The construction of temples was also a means of demonstrating the pharaoh's piety and his dedication to the gods, which was essential for maintaining the favor of the divine and the stability of his reign. The construction of temples and other monuments during Nynetjer's reign would have served both religious and political purposes. These structures would have been symbols of the pharaoh's power and piety, reinforcing his divine right to rule. Temples dedicated to major deities, such as Ra, Osiris, and Hathor, would have been focal points of religious life. These temples would have housed statues of the gods, along with offerings of food, drink, and other items. The priests who served in these temples would have played a crucial role in maintaining the rituals and ceremonies that ensured the gods' favor. Architectural achievements. Early pyramid construction. The period during which Nynetjer reigned saw the early development of pyramid construction, which would later culminate in the Grand Pyramids of the Fourth Dynasty. While Nynetjer himself did not build any pyramids, the architectural innovations of his time laid the groundwork for future developments. His reign saw the continued use of mastabas, flat-roofed tombs that served as precursors to the pyramids. The development of pyramid construction techniques would have involved considerable experimentation and innovation. Builders would have needed to develop new methods for quarrying and transporting large blocks of stone, as well as for constructing the complex internal chambers and passages that characterized later pyramids. Although Nynetjer did not build any pyramids, his reign saw the continued use of mastabas, which were the precursors to the pyramids. These structures were rectangular tombs with flat roofs, constructed from mud brick or stone. They served as the burial places for high-ranking officials and members of the royal family. Innovations in building techniques. The reign of Nynetjer likely witnessed advancements in building techniques and materials. The use of stone in construction became more prevalent, replacing the mud brick structures of earlier periods. These innovations would have required skilled labor and the coordination of large workforces, demonstrating the organizational capabilities of Nynetjer's administration. The use of stone in construction during Nynetjer's reign represented a significant advancement in building techniques. Stone structures were more durable and impressive than their mud brick counterparts, reflecting the pharaoh's power and wealth. The construction of these stone structures would have required the coordination of large workforces, including skilled laborers, architects, and engineers. The organization of these workforces would have been a complex task, involving the provision of food, shelter, and other necessities for the workers. Economy and trade. Agricultural practices. Agriculture was the backbone of the ancient Egyptian economy, and Nynetjer's reign would have seen the continuation and possibly the improvement of agricultural practices. The Nile River's annual flooding provided fertile soil for growing crops, and the pharaoh's administration would have played a crucial role in managing the distribution of water through an intricate system of canals and reservoirs. The management of agricultural resources during Nynetjer's reign would have been a critical aspect of his administration. The annual flooding of the Nile River provided fertile soil for growing crops, but the distribution of water through canals and reservoirs required careful planning and oversight. Farmers would have grown a variety of crops, including wheat, barley, and flax, which were essential for food, clothing, and other necessities. The pharaoh's administration would have overseen the collection of taxes in the form of agricultural produce, which was then stored and redistributed as needed. Trade networks. Trade was another vital component of the Egyptian economy. During Nynetjer's reign, trade expeditions would have been organized to acquire valuable resources not available in Egypt, such as cedar wood from Lebanon, gold and ivory from Nubia, and lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. These trade networks not only brought wealth to Egypt but also facilitated cultural exchanges with neighboring regions. The maintenance and expansion of trade networks during Nynetjer's reign would have involved establishing and maintaining diplomatic relations with neighboring regions. Trade expeditions would have been organized to obtain valuable goods, such as cedar wood from Lebanon, gold and ivory from Nubia, and lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. These trade networks not only brought wealth to Egypt but also facilitated cultural exchanges. The introduction of foreign goods and ideas would have enriched Egyptian society, influencing everything from art and architecture to religious practices. Social structure and daily life. The royal court. The royal court of Nynetjer would have been a center of political power and cultural activity. High-ranking officials, priests, and members of the royal family would have played essential roles in the administration of the kingdom. The court would have been a place of opulence, reflecting the pharaoh's divine status and the wealth of the kingdom. The daily life of the royal court would have included elaborate ceremonies, feasts, and entertainment. The pharaoh's palace would have been a place of luxury, with beautifully decorated rooms, gardens, and courtyards. The royal court of Nynetjer would have been a center of political power and cultural activity. High-ranking officials, priests, and members of the royal family would have played essential roles in the administration of the kingdom. The common people. The lives of the common people in ancient Egypt were closely tied to the agricultural cycles of the Nile River. Farmers, laborers, craftsmen, and traders made up the majority of the population. Their daily lives would have involved hard work and dedication, but they also participated in religious and cultural activities that brought the community together. The pharaoh's administration would have overseen the distribution of resources and ensured that the common people had access to food and other necessities. Public works projects, such as the construction of canals and reservoirs, would have provided employment and improved the quality of life for the population. The lives of the common people in ancient Egypt were closely tied to the agricultural cycles of the Nile River. Farmers, laborers, craftsmen, and traders made up the majority of the population. Their daily lives would have involved hard work and dedication, but they also participated in religious and cultural activities that brought the community together. Cultural developments. Artistic developments. Artistic developments during Nynetjer's reign would have included the continuation and refinement of styles and motifs developed during the First Dynasty. Sculptures, reliefs, and pottery from this period often depicted scenes of daily life, religious rituals, and the pharaoh's accomplishments. Art played a crucial role in conveying the divine nature of the pharaoh and the religious beliefs of the time. The creation of statues and reliefs required skilled artisans who were capable of producing intricate and detailed works of art. Cultural achievements. Cultural achievements during Nynetjer's reign included advancements in writing and record-keeping. The development of hieroglyphics allowed for more complex record-keeping and communication. This period also saw the production of literature, such as religious texts and administrative documents, which provided insights into the beliefs and practices of ancient Egyptian society. The preservation of these texts on papyrus and in stone inscriptions ensured that the knowledge and achievements of Nynetjer's reign were passed down to future generations. Cultural achievements during Nynetjer's reign included advancements in writing and record-keeping. The development of hieroglyphics allowed for more complex record-keeping and communication. This period also saw the production of literature, such as religious texts and administrative documents, which provided insights into the beliefs and practices of ancient Egyptian society. Legacy of Nynetjer. Succession and dynastic continuity. The legacy of Nynetjer is closely tied to the continuation of the Second Dynasty. Although the exact details of his succession are not well documented, it is believed that he was succeeded by one or more of his sons or close relatives. The smooth transition of power would have been essential for maintaining the stability of the kingdom and ensuring the continued prosperity of Egypt. The dynastic continuity established during Nynetjer's reign set a precedent for future pharaohs who built upon his foundations to create the iconic monuments and centralized state that characterized later periods of Egyptian history. The legacy of Nynetjer is closely tied to the continuation of the Second Dynasty. Although the exact details of his succession are not well documented, it is believed that he was succeeded by one or more of his sons or close relatives. Influence on future pharaohs. Nynetjer's reign set a precedent for future pharaohs in terms of administrative reforms, religious practices, and architectural achievements. His innovations in governance and construction would have influenced subsequent rulers who built upon his foundations to create the iconic monuments and centralized state that characterized later periods of Egyptian history. Future pharaohs would have looked to Nynetjer's example as they sought to maintain the stability and prosperity of their own reigns. His legacy, though not as well known as that of later pharaohs, is an essential part of the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian history. Nynetjer's reign set a precedent for future pharaohs in terms of administrative reforms, religious practices, and architectural achievements. His innovations in governance and construction would have influenced subsequent rulers who built upon his foundations to create the iconic monuments and centralized state that characterized later periods of Egyptian history. Conclusion. Pharaoh Nynetjer's reign during the Second Dynasty of ancient Egypt was a period of significant developments in political administration, religious practices, and cultural achievements. While much about his life and rule remains shrouded in mystery, the available evidence suggests that he played a crucial role in laying the foundations for the powerful and enduring civilization that Egypt would become. His legacy, though not as well known as that of later pharaohs, is an essential part of the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian history. Through a detailed examination of his reign, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities and achievements of the early dynastic period in Egypt. By exploring the political landscape, military campaigns, administrative reforms, religious beliefs, architectural achievements, economic practices, social structure, and cultural developments of Nynetjer's reign, we can appreciate the significant contributions he made to the development of ancient Egyptian civilization. His reign set the stage for the monumental achievements of later periods and left a lasting impact on the history of Egypt,